you love ball like I do, After Dark's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fix.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Hello and welcome in to a Wednesday edition of Field of 68 After Dark. It's November the 20th, and we got a big one. We got a big one that just went final that we're going to be breaking down. Alabama gets the win over Illinois, 100-87. So we'll break that down. We're going to talk about last night in college basketball with the triple-double from Kam Jones there at Marquette. So a lot to touch on today on the show. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by Randolph Childress, Mike LaTulip. Should be a fun show. Randolph, I want to start with you, my man. First of all, it's good to see your face, right? Our first show in 2024. It's good to see you, man. Alabama obviously had a bad Friday night. It was not very fun for them on Friday night against Purdue. It was much better tonight. What was the difference tonight? Is this just sort of shot variance with Alabama? I mean, what were they doing anything differently tonight that got them the result, or what did you see?
I thought you hit it on the broadcast. They were talking about it with Hart and those guys. I thought there was more of a concerted effort getting the ball inside, even off the dribble. I didn't think they settled as much as they have in the past. They just play at such a pace, man, that makes it hard for you to, to keep up with. They're going to go through their laws because they shoot so many threes. They're going to shoot 30 to 40 or so threes. I just thought in Purdue they settled a little more than I think they needed to. And today I thought it was more of a concerted effort to be like, look, get to the rim, finish, we draw fouls, finish at the rim, mid-range, or pull-ups or floaters, whatever you want to call it. I know they're very analytical, but they just didn't jack as many as I thought. It's funny to say, to be honest with you, I wish some guys wouldn't shoot as many. I love to watch Alabama play, but everyone has the freedom to shoot, and I love that he gives them confidence that. But I think as the season wears on, for them to reach their ultimate goals, I think some guys would have more restriction in how many they shoot and when they take certain shots. Because today, Mark Sears didn't score, and they scored 100. So I don't know, that shows you how potent offensively Alabama is. But you got to be, he had 5 shots at one point in time. Like, I mean, he should be getting 10 to 15 shots every night. I don't, so, but having said that, listen, that bounce back win, I don't think that changes anyway. Alabama wants all the smoke. They ain't ducking anybody. So it's, I'm glad they responded. For all you Purdue fans, we're going to talk about y'all in a minute because y'all came for me the other night, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Y'all go ahead. I'm going to let Mike.
Yeah, you're on demon time. You're on demon time with Purdue tonight. I knew it. You just got to address it at some point. I'm happy you're going to do it tonight. Mike, obviously, former Illini. I mean, you mentioned it, not ducking the smoke. I mean, I give Illinois credit for taking this game, right? I mean, that was a home game for Alabama, even though it was, quote unquote neutral. 8-point underdogs. I don't think, there wasn't this huge expectation that they would pull this off. Managed to stay in it, right? Managed to keep it semi-competitive. What did you just make of what you saw from Illinois tonight?
Yeah, it's a game they needed to play. I mean, you look at just the youth of this team, and how you schedule is going to determine how quickly you figure out who this team is and what the identity is offensively, defensively. And I thought they did a good job of scheduling this non-conference, and particularly this game this early, to figure out who you can trust, right? Who can we run our offense through? How do we want to shuffle around our rotations? All that matters. And I thought tonight, I liked their fight, but it was just there was no resistance defensively. And when you have, we touched on it, right? Mark Sears scores 0 points. I think if you asked Illinois before this game, hey, Mark Sears scores 0 points, how do you feel about your chances? Probably pretty good. The issue is that the other 3 guards scored 50 of the 100. And I thought Bama completely flipped the script from Friday night against Purdue. I thought Purdue was more decisive. I thought Purdue was more physical. And then tonight, that was Bama in this game. And when and RC touched on it, like when you allow them to get downhill, to get out in transition, the avalanche is on, man. And it's hard to stop that. I mean, he talked about them getting into the paint. That set up a lot of the inside out 3-point looks for sure, but they were 28 for 41 from 2, right? Almost 70%. And if you look at the shot profile, like that's what Nate Oates wants. He wants shots at the rim and he wants shots from 3. And nothing in the mid-range. And I thought they eliminated the mid-range tonight. They didn't settle, like RC mentions as well, and that's the result you get. But for the Illini, like it's just another data point for this team to figure out, again, who they can trust and how they're going to move forward. I don't think it was an awful effort, but defensively, like there are definitely things that need to get figured out.
Yeah, RC, I think, he kind of hit on it, like at least about the Sears piece. I mean, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary when you start thinking about the fact that Sears didn't score and they're not fully healthy yet. Like, there's more to come with Bama.
I don't think anybody's surprised with Bama. When they get healthy, it's scary because you don't have to force anything with them. Like, personally, I think as the season wears on, I like to see Mark Sears more involved in a sense, but just a great option not to force him. The Illini issue to me is going to have to be having more guys besides Boswell who can defend the ball, who can contain the dribble. That'll be something that they have to deal with on a perimeter. Who else can step up and guard someone else on the perimeter of the wing? I don't know if you could. He does a really good job. He's always been a really good physical defender. I thought he did a really good job on Sears when he was guarding him as well, fighting through screens, being able to blow some stuff up and give him some credit. And I'm not saying he single-handedly shut him down by any stretch of the imagination, but talking about the Illini here, I think they're going to have to find someone else to help contain dribble penetration because now I know it's hard with Bama because they just spread you out. What's great about Bama, why it's fun to watch them play? They don't really run plays. They just teach their guys how to play. So they're cutting, they're driving, they're spacing, they're shooting. It's just, it translates. And it's why I think as long as you see their staff just spreads all over the country. Everybody wants a part of their staff and a part of their system and to figure out the secret formulas, so to speak. But I think the best thing that they teach, that NATO teaches, is just how to play. Just play. It's not, we start with a zoom act. You just cut hard. You don't get it, you flash up, you get it, ball screen. You catch it, you shoot it, you don't shoot it, you drive, your space. They just know how to play. So it's hard because you're not worried about, a lot of times when you get script, you get a piece of paper, you're looking at the plays they like to run. You playing Bama, it's like, they play 2 threes, they want layups. But they're doing it at a really, a lot of pace, spacing you. I just think the only thing I can say, if I'm nitpicking with them, is that I think they settle too much for 3 sometimes. And I think the wrong guy occasionally will take a 3 just to get himself in the flow of a game. But other than that, man, this team will be there in the end. Nate Oates' schedule's as hard as anyone in the country. He ain't ducking nobody. Whoever wants to run, he'll give it to you. That team will be a problem, like I said. I think they just got to continue to play the way they played tonight. One is because they go through spells when they're not making shots. If they're going to hit 23s, which they will do this year, they're beating everybody. But when they're struggling, can they find other ways? Can they rely on their defense? We thought they'd be probably better defensively when they signed Clifford Morey than I think. Tonight he was in foul trouble, but I still thought they'd have they'd still be a little bit better than they are defensively right now.
I think
Mike,
one thing I want to add, because this has been brewing for, I think, really since the start of the season. When I watched the Memphis exhibition game, like, a dude that popped was LeBaron Philon. Like, that dude, if we're calling a spade at this point, I think that's Alabama's most complete player. And it's part of the reason why Mark Sears can go scoreless in a game like tonight and they still score 100, because when you have Kylan Boswell guarding Mark Sears, now you have LeBaron Philon that's being guarded by Will Riley or being guarded by Kasparis Yakashonis, and they tried to compete defensively. That dude is he's a blur off the bounce. He makes great reads. He can step out and shoot. We saw that against Purdue tonight. Like, he gets downhill so quickly, and the pressure that puts on your defense and what that allows Alabama to do offensively. Like, I truly think, I think the trend is going to continue for Alabama. And that's, Mark Sears is going to have his nights for sure. Like, he's going to have 20 plus on occasion, probably more than on occasion. But LeBaron Philon is going to continue to be more of a focal point and continue to command more attention. And that's only going to help Mark Sears, because now you're you're talking about shuffling, defensive, personnel. Hey, who are we going to guard? Are we going to stick our best player on Mark Sears, or are we going to stick our best player on LeBaron Philon? That's only going to help Mark Sears. So I think the emergence of Philon is going to be great long term as Alabama continues to roll, and that's why it's so scary what they were able to accomplish tonight with Sears. He still commands attention, right? So him being scoreless doesn't mean that he wasn't doing anything, right? He's commanding the attention of Kylan Boswell and the rest of that Illinois defense, and then now the rest of the guys on for the Crimson Tide are benefiting from it.
RC, we saw and we have seen, because I do want to talk a little bit more about Bama here. At least at the NBA level, right? When you saw the offenses become super centric around the three, everybody started doing that. Everybody started playing. Everybody was trying to be the next version of Golden State, right? Now the three is just so prolific. And it kind of feels like in some ways Alabama is on the front end of that trend as well with the way they play. They don't want to muck it up. They want to score 100 every night. Is that something that you think teams can recreate stylistically, or is that just going to be something that's limited to a select few programs if that's what they want to do?
I mean, you can emulate it if you want. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to have the personnel that Alabama has to be able to do it. To duplicate it would be the issue. But like I said, the biggest thing is that scouting them has to be the biggest headache, because they're not running a ton of plays. They just do a great job at teaching their guys how to play. And obviously he'll draw up stuff. They do have plays. I'm not saying that any stretch of the imagination, but if you're watching them, it's pace, it's cutting hard, it's spacing, it isn't just shooting threes. We emphasize on them shooting threes, but it's how they do it. If they focus on putting pressure on the rim, and sometimes I think they get happy from the 3-point line and continue to attack and get to the basket, I think it opens it up, and then guys will get better shots. The only thing, like I said, I would like to see is some guys, as we get into January, February, definitely into March for them, is the ball's in Mark Spears' hands probably a little bit more than it has been early on. He's player of the year for a reason. We know what he is. We know what he can deliver. But right now, they're still filling each other out. They haven't had their full complement of roster. That team is loaded, is deep when they get healthy. But they're fun to watch and they're a nightmare to scout, because they're just playing. You don't get it. You cut hard, dribble hand up. They're not scripting a play. They're not running pinch post action for this. They're not running 2 down, 3 side. They're just playing basketball. And I think that's why you put talent in that type of system with that type of depth when they're healthy. That's why they're arguably been everybody's number 1 team in the country.
Well, RC,
Mike,
you mentioned, real quick, RC, you mentioned like how much of a headache they would be to scout. Going into this game, you could tell the first few possessions they were allowing Grant Nelson to shoot the ball, and they packed the paint. They said, "Cool, we're going to close out to 15 feet. You want to take a 3, great." And he hits his first 3 threes. So I mean, that's the way you got to play him, right? You got to live with that. Yeah. You got to say, you got to go into a game saying, "I'm comfortable with." All right, I'm gonna let Grant Nelson take threes, or someone else. Like, you have to say that with them, and then they're gonna oblige. He's gonna shoot them, and so he just hit him tonight, and it was a nightmare. And then once he's doing that, they score 100 points. Then good luck. Yeah, you start overcommitting on the perimeter, and then that's when he's getting downhill, getting to the basket, and things. You're right, and things opened up big time.
Yeah, no easy answers. Again, it's hard, Mike, to gauge. I don't want to punish Illinois too much, right? Like, this was a big task. It was a big challenge they took on. So from what you've seen of them, and again, very early, but in terms of how they fit and where they fit in the Big Ten here, what's that look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows this is going to be a long-term play for Illinois. And honestly, that's what's happened the past few years. Like this, they've taken on different life forms throughout the season. 2 years ago with the Matthew Meyer team, it was Terrence Shannon's first year, first few games, they're switching 1 through 5. And then they nix that. They go to straight man. I thought that helped them throughout the season. Then they went to more like of a spread offense. And then last year, they're running more split actions and stuff to start the season. And then they get to the Florida Atlantic game, again, like another data point. And it's like, okay, Marcus Damas can do some things in backdowns, right? Maybe that is, as we're looking at the analytics, like that is what we need to do offensively. We need to basically like spam that offensively. And that's what they did. And I thought it was a big reason why they made it to the Elite Eight, because everybody else could just naturally fall into their roles. And like, we'll get to Coleman Hawkins later, but like predictability within your role is what allows you to be able to be efficient night in and night out, especially offensively, right? And you could say the same defensively too. So they're just going to continue to work towards that. And they always round the corner in late December and early January. It's why they've won the most Big Ten conference games in the last 5 years, because they continue to tinker, they continue to iterate. And tonight's just another step in that direction. It's not the result you want by any means, but at least you can go there, you can watch the film, and you can say, all right, now where do we go from here? Who do we trust, like I said, and how do we want to mold things offensively? How do we want to mold things defensively?
Mike, I got to ask you before we go. Some will say, some people believe Illinois is the best roster in the Big Ten. Do you believe that? And where do you see them finishing in the Big Ten?
I think upside. I mean, they have a ton of upside. They got 2 top 20 picks for a reason. The issue is that those 2 guys are really young, and we know in college basketball, like it's hard to overcome youth unless your youth is Anthony Davis and it's Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and it's those guys that are like upper echelon, top 5 bona fide picks. And I mean, the Big Ten's, it's still wide open. Like it is wide open. Arguably more than any Power 4 conference. I don't think any team at this point has like really separated themselves. I still think Illinois is in that top. I had 4 coming into the season where it was Illinois, it was Indiana, it was Purdue, and it was Oregon. Like those were my 4 that I had up there. Oregon teetering more probably in the second tier, but all 3 of those teams, Illinois, Purdue, and Indiana, I think have a shot to win this thing. I think Purdue, we saw last night, some of the warts that showed themselves. Indiana, I think, has the highest floor out of anybody in the conference. And we'll just see, like, as the race continues to go on, like, just because you have a high ceiling doesn't mean you're going to get there. Like, that doesn't mean anything other than that you have the potential to. So what they do with these next few weeks through non-conference with a pretty tough schedule and what they do heading into Big Ten conference play, like, that's what's going to determine it. But this team's a top 5 team in the Big Ten without question. And because it's so wide open, that's why they have I think a good chance to win the whole thing. Big Ten conference, that is.
Yeah. At any rate, nice bounce back, nice win in the biggest game of the night, 187 for Alabama. Randolph, when we get back, are you putting belt to ass? Is that going to happen?
I'm gonna be nice tonight. I'm being nice tonight. I'm being nice. I am going to mention it to him, but we're going to be nice. I'm going to be nice tonight. You're going
to let him live for a night. Okay, all right, fair enough. We'll talk about the brilliant performance from Kam Jones last night, obviously making history there for Marquette. Nice win for them over Purdue. So we'll break that down and more when we get back. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. I'm John Martin, Randolph, Childress, Mike LaTulip. We're joined now by the man of the hour, Grant Nelson. Game high, 23 points and a win over Illinois 187. Grant, appreciate the time, man. Congratulations. Just after Friday, right, and how tough that one was. How good did this one feel, getting back in a friendlier environment and getting a win over a quality team like that?
Man, it felt great. I really think that our fans helped tonight. I mean, it was great to get a bounce back win. Really locked in on the things we emphasized this week in practice. I feel like the last 12 minutes in the Purdue game, we kind of stopped trying as hard, and I mean, I think we really showed tonight that we worked on that in practice, and I thought it was just a great night all around.
Grant, when watching you guys today, what was the emphasis coming into this game? It seemed like you guys had concentrated on attacking the paint to set up your threes. Is that accurate, or is it just something that you guys just settled too much, in the Purdue game? Like, what was the emphasis from you guys learned from the last game coming into the bounce back game against the Illini?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the main things we emphasized was getting the ball out of our hands quicker, getting it to shooters. And I mean, we kind of knew how Illinois would guard like me and the rest of the 4s and 5s. They kind of try to clog up the paint. So, I mean, our guards did a great job getting off the ball quick, the early easy pass. And I mean, LeBaron had like 9 assists or something, almost triple double. So big shout out to him, getting guys open.
Yeah, Grant. What's going on, man? Quick question for you. You just touched on it, right? Like Illinois is going to clog the paint. Your 4s and 5s going to get open looks. I'm curious what your mindset is in that situation, right? Understanding, okay, they're sagging off me. They're closing out at 15 feet. You going there, you made your first 3 threes. Like, what's the mindset for you as a shooter in that situation?
I mean, I think of just the week of preparation and all the reps I've put in, and then my teammates giving me a lot of confidence every day. And then especially this week, just telling me to shoot it whenever I'm open, even if I don't see them go in. So, I mean, I give a lot of credit to my teammates for tonight.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, Grant, is that, we know how great Mark is. The fact that you guys can get a win like this by double digits, as comfortable as it was with him having 0 points, what does that say about your team and your potency?
I mean, we're deep. We got so many guys. I mean, we got dudes who are redshirting this year who would probably play almost anywhere else in the country. So, I mean, it shows how deep we are. And, I mean, a lot of credit to Mark tonight, realizing it wasn't his night. And in a huddle, he said, Coach put Latrell in or whoever it was, put him in. I mean, I'm not playing my best. So, I mean, a lot of respect to Mark for that.
So Mark made the decision coming out that he should just sit the rest of the game out because it was going well. That was his call.
I mean, I don't know the rest of the game, but I mean, he realized that other guys were playing well, and I mean, he kind of he accepted that. He knew how deep we were. So I mean, it just shows his leadership, I think, to let those young guys come in and hoop, really.
Yeah, Grant, obviously you guys won a ton of games last year. I mean, you make it to a Final Four, have some new faces, have some familiar faces coming back. Like, what feels different about this team? Obviously, a lot of times you compare it to last year. You're trying to get back to where you were last year. What feels the same? What feels different about this team?
I mean, different. I feel like our defense is in a whole different place than last year. I think tonight showed glimpses of our offense of what it could be, but ultimately I don't think we're there yet offensively. We got the right tools, the right pieces, but, I mean, it takes time. It took us a little bit last year too, but, I mean, I see a lot of similarities just because we run the same offense, stuff like that. We got all the pieces, but, I mean, defensively I think we've changed the most, and then our depth. I think we got a lot more depth this year than last year.
Yeah, and then finally, Grant, we appreciate your time. Go ahead, RC, if you got one, you can close it off.
No.
Sure.
No. My question was on your guys on the defensive end of the floor. I think Cliff Amore, we know what the reputation of him coming in there. How would you say his transition has been with you guys? I mean, I know he was in foul trouble tonight, and then it forced you to have to play some 5. But how has his transition been and what he's meant to this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was our biggest thing last year. We didn't really have a rim protector. That's kind of where we lacked. I mean, I was guarding the 5 a lot of times last year, getting in foul trouble. But I think I think he's starting to learn a little better. Keep the flow offensively, and then I mean, he's known for his rim protecting, but I mean, he's got to stay down on some of those shot fakes, man. He's been fouling recently.
Hey, Grant, man, congratulations on the win. We appreciate the time, and have a great rest of the season, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. It's Grant Nelson. Again, 23 tonight, game high for Alabama. They don't have a lot of time to celebrate that one. They got the Houston Cougars on Tuesday, so it's right back to work for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So good stuff there. Hey, real quick, how about RC just reacting to that? The fact that Mark basically took himself out of the game. I mean, that's kind of crazy to see in college.
And you know what? It shows you that his mind is on the bigger prize. I mean, he didn't score. He has a streak. They were talking about it. He has a streak of double-digit games, and this is a preseason player of the year, and knows he has the talent to do something deeper. I mean, bigger than just that. So to go 0 for 5 and really not care that I didn't score says more about Mark Seals as a person and a leader than it is. Then I'm not concerned about his play at all. He's proven, he's stamped, he's validated. We're not worried about, he'll respond in that game. But again, it's more impressive that how many teams could have a guy like him, the player of the year, not score and beat a ranked team, arguably the best team in the Big Ten or a top 3 team in the Big Ten. So team's loaded. Credit to him again. It'd be interesting to see. I love the scheduling. I love that they play these games every year because ultimately the prize is on the end, and that's winning 6 games in March.
No question. It's good for the product. It's good for them. I mean, they're getting some meaningful games on the college basketball schedule in November and December. And so that's something that certainly we know this sport needs. That's a special team. Mike, let's switch gears, man. Well, let's talk about the result last night. Purdue, obviously, it's college basketball, right? It's kind of, it's a dog sport. They get the win over Bama at Mackey. Then they got to go to Marquette at Fiserv, and they get packed up, as the kids say. And a big reason why, of course, is the brilliance of Kam Jones, who had the second triple-double in school history behind somebody named Dwayne Wade, is what I'm being told.
Who?
What did you make of – yeah, I know, right? Like, I guess my memory is faded. Don't quite remember him. But what did you just make of Marquette and the way they just controlled and handled that game?
Well, obviously, the story's Kam Jones, but in the triple-double, obviously, but that felt a lot like the Shaka Smart Havoc defenses of old, where you're sitting there and you're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, there are 5 guys out there. It's not 7, like it feels like, because gaps shrink so quickly, passing lanes evaporate. You got to be a man driving the baseline. Shots are contested, and then it translates, and they get out and out of the break. That was what was impressive to me last night. We'll get into Kam Jones, obviously, but these guys around Kam buying into, and Kam too defensively. I mean, Cam's great defensively as well, but Stevie Mitchell, Ross, like all those guys are they create so much havoc. I hate saying that again, but and that's important because you look at I look at the Big East Conference, and obviously you're going to have UConn up there, but man, I just night in and night out, is there going to be a better player on the floor than Kam Jones? And I think that's what Purdue experienced last night. It's like, hey, we're not going to go against Kam Jones every night, right? And you're not going to play against that type of disruption every night, especially in the Big Ten. So I think you tip your cap to Marquette. That was outstanding. I mean, that was a message that was sent, I think, nationally and especially to the Big East Conference. That was impressive.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to be nice tonight because all you damn Boilermakers was on my timeline talking crazy because y'all got y'all win the other night. Some of y'all was talking real crazy. And I'm going to let y'all slide tonight. I ain't even going to pile on and go back at you just because y'all lost the game. Whatever. You lost to Marquette. You got handled. It is what it is. But this the last damn time some of y'all are going to slide. I can be petty as hell. And somebody, one of my timelines, y'all keep receipts. I know what I said. And I'm going to stand by some of the stuff that I said, or all of what I said, and we'll wait and see. But I'm not going to come back at y'all tonight just because y'all lost the game. You win some, you lose some, we'll see. But it again.
That's
Shout
right.
out to Matt Painter. You know you my guy, Matt. I ain't got time to be dealing with your Twitter handle people out there. But y'all come at me again. I'm telling you, we're going to have some problems.
Can we get a shout out to Memphis's finest though? I mean, obviously we're known for producing some of the best players in the world. I mean, that's what we do. I don't know why you're fighting it so hard. You just have to admit it. There's no running from it. Kam Jones, a 901 product, right? That's what we do, RC.
Okay. I'm going to put my John Martin hat on backwards and celebrate it too. Then that's what we're doing. Then I'm going with you. I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to celebrate Memphis.
That's what I got to do now. That's what I got. That's how I celebrate Memphis, bro. It ain't the Tigers anymore. I got to celebrate the players, man, that leave. You know what I'm saying? That's the only success I get these days, bro. So let me live, man. Let me have a little fun. But yeah, man, shout out to Kam Jones. He's done it the right way, man. That dude committed to Woj. He did not commit to Shaka Smart, and he has stayed down. He has stayed loyal, and his loyalty is definitely being rewarded there, man. So in a world that is just, it feels so borrowed, guys leaving year after year, the fact that Kam Jones stayed at Marquette and is doing what he's doing now is probably a future consensus first team All-American is amazing to see. It's a real success story, RC. You gotta love it. We'll come back. Lots more to get to. Kentucky, wow, they look different. They look different under Mark Pope. We'll talk about that a whole lot more. Stick around. Field 68 after dark.
Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. Podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick-hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app.
Welcome back. Field of 68 after dark, Wednesday, November the 20th. Thanks to Grant Nelson, who jumped on earlier and clarified some things. There was a lot of confusion on Twitter about why Mark Sears was not in the game. And Grant shared with us, I think he was breaking a little news here that Mark took himself out. It was not a Nate Oates decision as much as it was a Mark Sears, choice, which makes that a lot different. That team is quite special. I'll say this, Mike, a team that I was down on coming into the year was Kentucky. I just didn't really know what quite to expect from them, but 4 games in, I don't know if I could be more impressed. The way that Mark Pope is diving in analytically, the style he's bringing, like the way that they're just doing everything under him, it really feels like it's a successful recipe. They obviously packed up Lipscomb. I've used packed up twice now, but that's what happened. That's a solid Lipscomb team. From what you've seen of Kentucky in this style and the way that they're playing, how successful do you see them being over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think they're going to be ahead of schedule compared to a lot of teams around the country just because of their age. They're going to be, I look at Mark Pope and him putting together this roster, coming to Kentucky, all the expectations, Big Blue Nation, and just zero insecurity putting together this roster. Zero. Like, get me guys that fit our system and get me guys that come from winning programs. I know, obviously, Garrison and Kerr came from teams that didn't win as much, but Kerr's played in big games. He won big at Arizona, and the rest of these guys have as well. And only one of those guys was really a top 20 transfer, and it was Brandon Garrison. He's coming off the bench. And so all those BYU teams that Mark Pope coached, it was always like, the sum is greater than the parts. And that's what you're seeing with this Kentucky team. And the way he's constructed it is, hey man, get me versatile bigs and Amari Williams and Carr, right? And then give me tone setters. Give me Lamont Butler. Give me Owe. Give me Jackson Robinson. And then the rest of these guys, Kobe Brea, who's arguably the best shooter in the portal, is coming off the bench. Brandon Garrison, who is the highest rated transfer out of all these guys, coming off the bench. And then like further down the bench, you got Almanor, who's the NEC Player of the Year, as like their 8th or 9th man, probably 9th man. I mean, I think it's a hell of a job putting together the roster and doing it the way he wanted to do it, and not succumbing to the pressure of being at Kentucky and thinking, man, I got to go make splashes. And even if they don't fit my system, I just got to go get a top 5, top 10 guy out of the portal just so that people can gain some respect for me in this position. He didn't do that. And I commend him for it, because I think it takes some balls to do that, and not fall victim to that. Because some coaches do that, and that's the reason why they start losing, because the pieces don't fit. These pieces fit, and we'll see. If they take care of business for the next 4 games, you're talking about potentially being 8-0 heading into that Gonzaga game.
All right, let me. They played Duke. They beat Duke.
Amazing win.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind? Like what?
No. I just want to say, like,
I said they're ahead of schedule. They're ahead of schedule because they're older.
They're supposed to be. They're Kentucky. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying.
They don't get a do-over. It's Kentucky. That's why they hired you. Now, listen. Let me say this, because I'm a big fan of Mark Pope. I love his system. I love what he's doing. But 3 of their 4 wins are against the 13th grade. Like, come on. Like, we're not anointing Kentucky when they have, the Duke win is good. Give me another big win that I expected in other games. All these games they've won, they've been favored by 20 points plus. I mean, they were expected to do this. And no disrespect to those other teams, but those are bye games, and they expected to give a beat down, and they did. We're going to find out more about.
How do you feel about Iowa State? How do you feel about Iowa State?
When they get there, we'll see. But I trust Iowa State more from his in the past and what they've been than Kentucky right now. We've seen that.
But the Duke win is the Duke win. The Duke win is the Duke win.
I give him that. I watched it and I give him credit.
It's the best. Is it the best win of the college basketball season? I mean, it has to be.
It's up there.
I mean, I guess Gonzaga over Baylor, but that was basically a home game.
Basketball season.
Yes.
Like really?
What's better? Give me a better win. They were 6-point underdogs in a neutral? I mean, give me a better one. Give me a better win, RC. What? I mean, why is he?
Release the hate. Understand. Release the hate from your heart.
It's not like
we're giving Kentucky. So we're giving Kentucky. This is Kentucky, fellas. Like, what are we talking about? It's Kentucky.
I didn't say they were winning national championship. I was impressed with the way that he stuck to his guns and put this roster together. That was it.
I'm still waiting on a better win, man.
How much this roster cost?
I don't have the numbers on hand.
Every roster costs a lot.
Let me turn.
How much money did Kansas State's roster cost? Like,
we talking about Kentucky. They don't have the money Kentucky has. How much money did that roster cost? Now, again, credit to Mark Pope, because I'm not anti-Mark Pope and I'm not anti-Mark Pope and I'm not anti-Kentucky. I'm just saying, we're like applauding a damn fish for swimming. Like, what are we talking about here? It's fucking Kentucky. Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. That's why they freaking hired you.
It's not like
and
that.
We celebrating, like, come on, man. It's Kentucky, bro. Like, cut it out. Like he answered the bell. He's delivering, but it's Kentucky.
He's overachieving. He's overachieving.
He what?
Already he's overachieving.
Man,
he wasn't supposed to beat Duke.
Y'all cut it out.
He wasn't supposed to beat Duke.
Okay, I give him that. He wasn't supposed to beat Duke. The game could have went either way. They beat Duke. Great. But y'all saying he overachieved? It's Kentucky. He's supposed to do that. What are we talking about?
John said he overachieved.
I did say that. I did.
Okay.
Say that.
Okay. You said that.
I'm just saying,
I
like the fact he put the roster together the way he did. Now, my one concern with Kentucky is that, yes, their system's great. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. But when it comes down to it, we just watched it with Alabama. How many guys can put their head down and get into the paint when needed, right? Like, that is something I think is going to potentially pop up down the road for Kentucky. You know, when you don't have Kobe Bryant shooting 78% from three, right? Like, that's a potential question mark. But right now, they definitely, I mean, you look at, Auburn over Houston, right? Big win. But it's a top 3 to 5 win so far in college basketball. I'm not even sure that's debatable, RC. Come on.
We lost him. We've lost him.
No,
I mean,
you lost me when you made the comment. Listen, it's a big win. Kentucky beating Duke, it's good. It's a good. But I'm just saying, you guys are just, maybe because my expectation for Kentucky is just high. You guys are making it seem like this is the bottom team in the SEC just beat Duke. Like, it's Kentucky.
To be fair, you brought up that you glossed over the Duke win and then talked about the teams that they beat that are
right.
I'm saying,
3
no,
plus.
because you guys were just anointing them as that, like they had just, and I'm just saying the expectations is like the 3 of their 4 wins is like, and you beat Kentucky. Like, to your point, there are legitimate concerns with Kentucky, and it is who gonna get you a bucket. I think you got to add Carr to that, because I think a big part of their offense is going to be Carr's ability to stretch the floor, and then when he switches, you throw it inside, and he gets you a bucket. When they get in the conference play, they'll have their adjustments, right? They'll have that. And to your point, who can create a bucket besides Otego-Away? Who can get down a lane and create for himself and others and put pressure on them? I think the next guy will probably be Carr. We'll see what Lamont Butler can give him on the offensive end of the floor. When they're making shots, it's like, to me, it's like with them, when they're like Alabama, when they're making shots, they can beat anybody because they shoot it that well. But I don't want to hear about these numbers right now. Don't give me this, they're shooting 50-some% from the floor and 40 from 3. Like, come on, man. Like not, until we get a better resume of what this team looks like against better opponents, that's all I'm saying. But I'm not, it's Kentucky, dude. Like, it's supposed to be. Y'all know damn well them fans is expecting it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely true. I mean, it's definitely true. I just think, if they were a top 20-ish team coming in, I think they're better than that. I think they've shown they're better than that. You may not, and that's fine. I have no problem being patient.
No. I think they're legit. I think they're good.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I'm just not surprised. Like, you guys are acting as if like, oh my God, it's fucking Kentucky. Like, man, they beat Duke. It's one of the best wins in it. Man, it's Kentucky.
It was. I mean, you gotta give me that point, bro. At least it was one of the.
Damn. Kentucky must have fell off, and I didn't even know it. I ain't even Kentucky.
That's why they
kind of have
cut it out, man.
That's why they ran Cal out, bro. But you know what? I appreciate it. You're on a new type of time in 2024, RC. You ain't playing.
No, I just have a higher expectations of Kentucky than you guys do. Apparently, y'all acting like they fell completely off the map. Like they would have. Like, nah, it's Kentucky, dude. It ain't fall that far. Yeah. They still had dudes a year ago when they got some dudes. They don't have the high NBA talent, but he went out and got an experienced, older team. Like, let's not act like that team. That's a good damn basketball team. Like, what do you expect? Like, they should be that. They have flaws like everyone does. We have some concerns of them, but this is a pretty good damn team. The only reason they weren't ranked higher is because people didn't know what Mark Pope was going to bring. If they had knew that this team would look like this, they probably would have had Kentucky preseason top 10.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, we'll come back. Got a big slate tomorrow. We'll preview that, see if we can all kind of come together and agree on the biggest games of the slate tomorrow, and all of that. We'll go down the Kentucky history another day. We'll be back. Field of 68 after dark.
Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app, spelled RITHMM. is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark. Been a lively show tonight as Alabama gets the win over Illinois. Nice Wednesday night action, 187. Grant Nelson joined us earlier. Make sure you go back and catch that if you missed it. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by Randolph, Childress, and Mike LaTulip. It's Wednesday night. Clock's going to strike midnight. It's going to be on to Thursday, RC. Got a few ones. Got a few nice tilts tomorrow. Baylor, St. John's, Syracuse, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia. Of those three, or maybe there's another one on your radar. Which game are you looking most forward to tomorrow?
I want to see the Baylor St. John, right? We're waiting for. We talk so much about St. John now. They're top 25. Can they take a step and beat a team like Baylor that we believe is really damn talented and good? Like, can St. John take that next step and beat a team like that? I think Baylor and their guard play. I think Jeremy Roach is a guy that I think in that system can take another step. I don't know if they'll. I was discouraged with the way that they lost to Gonzaga when Gonzaga just destroyed them. But since then, they've bounced back. I expect them to. It'd be interesting to see how St. John responds. I want to learn more about St. John. Are they is taking the step that I think they will against a team, but Baylor that I know in the end will be challenging for the Big 12 championship.
How about you, Mike? Mike, how about you?
Yeah, to add to that, Baylor St. John's quickly, like the thing that I worry about for St. John's, Baylor's going to zone, right? And St. John's has had some shooting woes. They've had, some turnover issues. And I think, you look at Robert Wright, you look at Jeremy Roach, I would look at that as like, those are mismatches for Kadari Richmond and RJ Luis, right? Like, and that's negated because they're going to likely play zones. Thank God Scott Drew threw out that five-way switch that he did against Gonzaga because that got them ran out of the gym. But I'll be curious. Like, I don't think this is a great matchup for St. John's, so we'll see how that plays out. But the other game that I'm looking at is Syracuse, Texas. And, this is one you got to have if you're Rodney Terry. It's a Syracuse team that has been pushed to the brink by some not very good teams. I mean, that Lemoyne team got ran out of the gym by Cal Northridge, and that was a close game with Syracuse and Lemoyne. And Chris Beard's guys are gone. Like, this is a Rodney Terry team. And this is his chance to, I think, prove that, he deserves this job and that he could have this job long term. I think that's still up in the air for Rodney Terry. But the one thing that I'm curious about, right? Like, Trey Johnson has been out of this world. Like, I think he looks like a borderline top 5 pick. But when you look at Syracuse, I got a question, and I'm going to ask it. Is the zone dead for Syracuse, or is it coming back? Because if you look 2 years ago, predominantly, right, Boeheim, it was 90% of the time they were sitting in zone. Adrian Autry takes over, and it flipped a little bit last year. 25% of the time they were in zone. They were predominantly man. They've had one zone possession this year. And if I look at Texas, right, like, go ahead.
To answer your point, I wish, because we're pressing against time, I would say I thought they should have ran zone a little bit more than last year than they have. I think so much is flipping the identity of what Red wants the program to look like. And I think in order to get the recruits, I mean, you can say what you want about Cayenne committing there. That's a big get. He's starting to get the 4 the 5-star kids that he feels he needs to get to flip that around. And you can't do that playing zone because these kids want to go to the league and they don't feel like they can go to the league playing zone. So he has flipped it, and they're playing a lot of man. But to your point, I do think they got to start playing some of that zone again, because I don't think they can score enough, and I think it's really effective in holding teams down when they run it effective, and I think they got the length to run it. So I would like to see them run a little bit more zone.
And that's why that's my question for this game in particular. Because when you look on the surface, right, you're like, okay, why would you zone a Texas team that's shooting 38% from three? But when you look closer, right, eliminate Trey Johnson from that discussion, and that's a team shooting 27% from three. Like he's 17 for 29 for the season, or 17 for 31.
He's been playing.
Season
Yeah, he's been playing horse. Yeah, he's been
shooting lights out. So I see, if you're Red Autry, you come into that game, that's a changeup, right? You've shown it one time so far this season. Clearly, man-to-man hasn't been working. I mean, you got Lemoyne, you got some of these teams dropping 80, 85. You went into overtime, had 100+ put on you. It's about winning games. Like, how can you put yourself in position to win games? And maybe that's a change that's made. And I think if it is, this is the game to do it.
You mentioned Rodney Terry. Ron Sanchez got a big one tomorrow. I mean, Tony Bennett is gone. This is a hell of an opportunity for Ron Sanchez to get a quality win against Tennessee, to say, hey, I'm the right guy to lead this program going forward. There's no gimmies. There's no long-term contract there. At least it hasn't been announced. Like, this is a guy that's auditioning for a job, and a win like this goes a hell of a long way to validating his case if he wants to be the guy long-term going forward in a game that, if Tony Bennett was there, hell, I'd say whoever scores 40 first might win it. So, but yeah, no, that's a big game as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to out of that game. I want, if Virginia can Ron Sanchez lead that group and get a win against a defensive-oriented, talented Tennessee team.
Real quick, before we get to toast of the night, underrated game tomorrow. A meeting of the undefeateds, Memphis at San Francisco. That's a good one. It might be the best win of college basketball, whoever gets it. It really might. I mean, you're talking about two undefeateds there, RC. So make sure you stay up for that one, brother. That's going to be a late tip for you on the East Coast there in Myrtle. But make sure you get some coffee, man. Make sure, or whatever it is you do. All right. Let's get RC out of here, man. He's got to wake up on the right side of the bed tomorrow. Let's do toast of the night. RC, we're going to start with you, man. You're up.
Come on, man. I mean, it's got to only be one toast of the night, man. The all-time leader in college basketball wins, right? We're going to call him by just one name. We're going to call him just Gino. Like, come on, man. 1,217 wins.
That's good.
Like, I mean, like, you can't, you can't do anything. You got to celebrate that. That's a hell of an accomplishment. He's been as good as any coach in the business. So, Coach Ari, cheers, my man.
Yeah, well done. Well done. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now because I know they touched on it last night, and it's technically not the toast of tonight, but I want to give another shout out to Kam Jones, because I think what we witnessed yesterday was one of the more ethical triple doubles that I've seen in the last however many years. Like, truly, like, that was a dude that was just reading the defense. Like, hey, you want to put two on the ball? Cool. I'm throwing it to the pick and pop. You want to switch 1 through 5? I'm rejecting. And I'm hitting Stevie Mitchell on a cut to the basket. You want to play single coverage? Cool. I'll back you down, pivot, get into the paint. And then when he was at 9 assists, that's what I'm always looking for, right? When you get to 9 assists, are you hunting? And when he got to 9 assists, he then got into the lane 3 times and scored and blew that game open, pretty much put it away. So playing the game the right way, ethical, and then finally gets it, making the right play. They put 2 on the ball near half court, throws it to the corner, Stevie Mitchell. That's your 10th assist. So that may be sacrilegious, what I just did, going back to last night for a toast, but I had to get that out. That was
I like the ethical.
Mike,
I like how
Mike,
you
this is the first time I work with you, Mike. I just want you to know you and John are two of the most positive human beings I've ever met in my life. Y'all are so generous. You guys are so complimentary. You're two of the most generous guys I've ever met in my life.
That's
And
crazy. That's crazy.
I just want you guys to take care of me. That's all. I'm in good hands. If you guys gonna be, you won't say
I
a bad
can't give flowers. Now we can't. Now we can't give flowers.
No. I mean, it's not that. It's not that. I'm just saying y'all are just generous guys. I mean,
It was an
Yeah,
ethical,
well,
it
we're
was
gonna
an
send
ethical
the,
triple double.
I'm just giving you shit.
we're gonna send him
I'm just
a
giving you
John
shit.
Wall Kentucky jersey wherever he's at. We're gonna
Yeah,
get him one.
you were just loving it because it's a Memphis guy. You could as soon as he said it, you just start smiling because it was a Memphis dude. Let me put my hat
I
back
like
on.
the ethical. I like the ethical spin, bro. I liked how he
Yeah.
put
You
it
loved
in.
it.
He plays the game the right way.
Simple
Like so many
basketball.
people.
No, he's good.
It was simple
He's
basketball.
the goods. He's the goods.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I think him and I think Walter Clayton Jr. are playing as well as any guards and league guards it is in the country. Like I don't think enough people are talking about that Florida team is really damn good, and I think Will Clayton Jr. is playing a point guard position as well as anybody in college basketball right now.
RC,
Yeah,
RC, who's your player of the year front runner right now?
God, no. This early in the year? No. I couldn't think of anybody else. It's too early. I have, it's too early.
It's just a front runner. It's just a front runner.
I don't
It's
know.
Cam.
I don't know.
It's Cam.
After that game, man, get off my line. Man. Get off my internet, man.
It's a triple double.
No, it wasn't.
man.
It was a big game against a good team. It's a good game against a good team. I give you. I won't argue. But I mean, 4 games in, I'm just not ready to say anybody's a front runner for player of the year yet. I just can't. I don't.
22, 7, and 5. He's got a triple double. He's 29-6 assist to turnover ratio. When you're questioning, hey, Tyler Kolek leaves, who's going to pick up the slack from a ball handling standpoint? I'm just saying. I mean, you don't have to give one, but I was just curious, man. I was just going to pick your brain on that.
Like I said, Walter Clayton Jr. is playing that position as well as anyone either. So
I'm gonna give.
I can make an
quick
argument.
toast.
Yeah, get your toast out the way, man. Just pile on. Why don't you just double down? He from Memphis. He from Memphis.
Nope.
Go ahead, double down.
Nope.
Dane
I got
Danger?
I got one for you though. How about little Jordan Mincy action? Jacksonville head coach going into Virginia Tech as a 10.5-point underdog and coming out with the dub. That's bad news for Virginia Tech, but it's really good news for Jordan Mincy. So toast to Jordan Mincy doing a great job. That's a tough job at Jacksonville. That's a huge win for him.
No, it is.
So shout out to Coach Mincy. Toast tonight. Fellas, this was fun. Looking forward to the next time. I hope you do as well, RC, but I know we'll have to see on that. We'll have to, keep it locked. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow here on Field of 68 After Dark. So for Mike LaTulip, for Randolph Childress, I'm John Martin. Thanks for tuning in.